coffee. Hello folks, it's been a while. I got a bit sick recently. I spoke with lots of small businesses and school principals and politicians and asked everyone to shut everything down until we figured out what it was, but no one seemed interested, except for a few people still wearing masks. Well, this video is focused on education. I've been heavily focused on developing True Arrow Academy of Critical Thinking. The platform will eventually consist of hundreds of great teachers where every lesson has the potential to be a turning point in a young learner's or adult learner's understanding on important and rather crucial topics. Importantly, the actual platform is now in development. Although time-consuming and expensive, it's progressing nicely now, and I will share a positive about the project doing exactly part of what it's supposed to do at the end of this video. We all know education is highly influential, which is why folks with agendas infiltrate education to shape future generations. Think Gramsci's 30-year march through the institutions and add on a few more unsuspecting generations, and now people are too timid to say that a woman is an adult female. Certain agendas have been super successful in deconstructing society for quite a while now. So I'm looking forward to True Arrow Academy being part of the antidote. So let's look at an example of a de- and reconstruction in Australian education in Victoria and in Melbourne. A concerned parent contacted me regarding her daughter's literature class in Year 12. They've been studying a collection of poems in a book called False Claims of Colonial Thieves by Charmaine Papertalk Green and John Kinsella. John Kinsella is described as one of Australia's foremost politically engaged poets who asserts that poetry is so often less about art and more about activism, and that within this reckoning he remains interested in the poem's potential for resistance, not its compliance with the status quo. False Claims of Colonial Thieves is a book that fearlessly pushes back against discourses of Australia as a theatre of long-standing epistemic violence. That's un-Australian. One poem includes these words: "The concept and construct of whiteness, its dominance and power in society." During literature lessons at her daughter's Catholic school, students make numerous annotations that come directly from the teacher. One poem is titled Blue Scar. The teacher has asked the students to annotate the Australia flag, forcing their views landscape. Permanent damage, a reminder of the trauma. Land that has not been healed. The mother has shown me pages and pages of such annotations, and I won't show them to protect the student. To sum up the annotations, capitalism and free markets are bad. Socialism is good. Growing up Catholic is bad. The Australian flag is bad. The Bible is bad. The cross is bad. Mining is bad. And Australia is bad. Anything related to decolonisation and moving away from the above is good. Students were asked to do one of the following tasks in preparation for a literature test. Number one option was, you are interviewing one of the poets for your radio station regarding how their poetry contributes to decolonisation. Number two, you are interviewing Reverend Costello, the Archbishop of Perth, on his view of the role of the church in colonisation and decolonisation. And the third option, you are interviewing one of your peers to understand how the poetry studied in Year 12 has educated and informed them on the issue of decolonisation. Postmodernism 101. The mother told me the student is uncomfortable about the assignment and she fears she will fail if she writes against decolonisation poetry. The mum hears, it's not the done thing to argue against it, or the teacher. Another assignment linked to other poems in the book includes students writing letters to BHP from the perspectives of an environmental activist. All mining is bad, of course. The mum wrote this to me. My daughter was absolutely stuck with this assignment and poetry book. She had a sort of writer's block and sullen attitude towards it all. She knew that if she didn't write it like the teacher wants, she would not pass. So she didn't want to hear any other point of view. I tried to tell her the other side of the coin, that is, the positives about Australia and mining. Then she became more and more bogged down on it, reading it over and over again, feeling somewhat paralysed as to what to write, feeling shocked and confused by it all. Perfectly happy teenager then becomes sarcastic, a bit angry like, pessimistic, tired. Not at all full of positive thoughts, just the opposite. Young folks in Year 12, and fair enough at that age, want to avoid alternative points of view if it's not going towards their grades. Alternative views will just get in the way, and there's other assignments with deadlines. So the more the mum would explain the benefits of mining and about Australia, the more sullen the daughter would become, because writing about the benefits would be met with punishment and compromise future aspirations of being accepted into university. So young people are being held to ransom. Say the right thing to get the grades or you will be punished. It's not merit-based learning or achievement, but something else, and it certainly isn't rewarding students to think for themselves. Agenda-driven teachers require ideological compliance, perhaps. The mum continues to write to me. The poetry book is filled with dark overtones, sarcasm and anger. Anger is a feature that I saw a lot in secondary school English, almost as if being angry, like an activist, makes them more intellectual. You might remember I made a video looking at one such group, a Christian group who made a whole bunch of units for years 1 to 10 to cater to one of the new compulsory strains in the national curriculum. Link up there. And I took you through a unit from each year level. The units would have students explicitly learn that white people cannot be connected to country, that white people are racist, and that modern Australia is something to be ashamed of. Basically, by age 16, young people are trained for ideological activism, which then continues into senior school and then university for some, not all. So, for someone who is 22, they've potentially had 16 years of activist preparation and indoctrination. That's a lot to undo. But of course, watching True Arrow Academy videos and completing quizzes can undo this at a young age, or an older age, and then hundreds of videos will create wonderful critical thinkers. Watch out, Gramsci. The mum explains to me how this kind of education is anxiety-inducing, depressing, lacking any sense of humour and wonder, and is just propagating lots of anger in the hope to make Australia more inclusive. However, in finishing this video, the same mum has a bit of a good news story. Her son, who after watching Dr. Peter Reid's True Arrow Academy lesson on the Great Barrier Reef, chose the Great Barrier Reef and climate change for his Year 9 argumentative oral task. The videos gave her son arguments and evidence to use, and after initially getting some grief from a teacher with bias on climate change, received an A+. So a big well done to the young lad for standing his ground despite knowing it was going to be a challenge presenting this to his biased teacher. If you're a parent with concerns and stories of issues in education related to indoctrination, please do reach out to me. If you would like to support the growth of a new critical thinking education platform, True Arrow Academy of Critical Thinking, please pop over to truearrowevents.com and click on the TACT tab. Thanks very much, Cobbers. See you in a bit.